he decided to completely dismantle and destroy USAID, which is the wing of the US government. It was started around the time of Ronald Reagan, I believe. And especially wanting to be a great country. If America wants to be a great country, but part of that is helping the world. And it does good works around the world. It works on health, works on education, works on disaster relief. All the humanitarian things that we should stand for.
Richard Gere just compared Trump's presidency to a three-ring circus where he's both the confused elephant and the ringleader. The audience gasped, but Keaton wasn't finished. Keaton jumped in to expose Trump's biggest trick, playing victim while attacking everyone else. Their methodical takedown revealed something important about why Trump's so dangerous for democracy, and we've got the receipts. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when Richard Gere was just the pretty boy from Pretty Woman? Well, now he's delivering the ugliest truth about Trump we've ever heard. The Hollywood heartthrob who made millions swoon in the 90s has transformed into an unexpected political truth teller, and his take on Trump is absolutely brutal. Gere didn't hold back when he labeled Trump a bully and a thug who has dragged America into a very dark place.
I'm coming from a place now that we're in a very dark place in America, where we have a bully and a thug who is the President of the United States. I see this world that we're in now forgetting that. And this kind of very foolish tribalism is starting to take us over, where we think we're all separate from each other. A universe of overlapping pain and sadness and joy and expectations and dreams and hopes and visions.
Coming from someone usually so zen and diplomatic, these words hit like a ton of bricks. It's like when your super chill yoga instructor suddenly starts cursing. You definitely pay attention. What makes Gere's takedown so powerful isn't just his celebrity status, it's how perfectly he captured what's been happening under Trump's watch. He pointed out something truly alarming that many had missed. Hate crimes in America shot up dramatically the moment Trump started his presidential campaign. Not after he won, not after he took office, but from the very minute he started running. Coincidence? Gere certainly doesn't think so. But the actor's most savage observation might be about Trump's relationship with his own supporters. According to Gere, Trump basically thinks his followers are so stupid they'd still vote for me, no matter what he does. Ouch, that's not exactly the warm, fuzzy feeling MAGA hat wearers were hoping for from their beloved leader. Imagine finding out your political hero is actually laughing at you behind your back while cashing your campaign donations. The most brilliant part of Gere's critique was comparing Trump's presidency to a three-ring circus. But this wasn't just some throwaway insult. Gere got specific, describing Trump as playing both the ringleader and the clueless elephant stomping through the chaos. That image perfectly captures Trump's bizarre dual role, creating massive disorder while simultaneously pretending he's the only one who can fix it.
We have to be vigilant, we have to be alert, we have to be energetic, we have to be brave, we have to be courageous. You know, I read a really moving letter in the New York Times from a gentleman in Hungary, and he was the slippery slope of how this happens everywhere. Authoritarianism takes us all over. We have to be willing to stand up, tell the truth, be honest, and that there's a place in all of our lives for basic kindness, for basic love and understanding and an embrace of each other.
Think about it. When there's a new scandal every day, you can't focus on any single outrage long enough to do anything about it. While everyone's distracted by whatever crazy thing he tweeted this morning, something more sinister is happening behind the scenes. It's like watching a magician wave one hand wildly while the other is picking your pocket. What elevates Gere's criticism above typical celebrity Trump bashing is how he connected these behaviors to something much more dangerous. He spoke about the dark profundity of Trump's actions, emphasizing that this isn't just just annoying politics or bad policy, but something that threatens the very foundation of American democracy. Gere highlighted how Trump's leadership style thrives on division, intentionally pitting Americans against each other and fueling hatred rather than hope. It's like Trump took the job description for President of the United States and decided to do exactly the opposite of uniting the country. Instead of being the president for all Americans, he's become the president for only those who worship him unconditionally.
So this is a president and administration who's pulling back from all of those human responsibilities. And it seems all he cares about is money, of being the benefactor of people who are hungry, who are starving, of people who are running away from violence, people who are lost and need a home. We're pandemics, everything. This is the environment, what's happening to the world.
The actor's observations about how Trump has normalized fear-based politics show just how deep the damage goes. It's not just about one man's terrible presidency, it's about how he's permanently changed our political culture, making division and hostility the new normal. The Trump circus may eventually leave town, but the elephant droppings will take years to clean up. What's particularly clever about Gere's circus metaphor is how it captures Trump's fundamental contradiction. He creates the very chaos he claims only he can solve. He's both the arsonist and the firefighter, the virus and the vaccine, the problem and the supposed solution. It's like hiring the burglar to install your home security system, from one Hollywood legend to another. But this time, it's not just any actor, it's Batman who's calling out the supervillain. Michael Keaton didn't just criticize Trump, he exposed the most bizarre paradox in American politics. How can someone constantly cry victim while being the biggest bully in the room? It's like watching the school bully burst into tears after punching you in the face. If Richard Gere's circus analogy nailed Trump's chaotic leadership style, Keaton's critique hit something even more fundamental: Trump's completely bogus victim act. Keaton, who knows a thing or two about playing complex characters, spotted Trump's most ridiculous performance yet. The guy who bullies, threatens, and intimidates everyone around him somehow wants us to believe he's the most persecuted person in history. Talk about bad acting. What makes Keaton's takedown so devastating is how he zeroed in on Trump's most obvious character flaw, the whiny victim routine from a man who spends his days attacking others. Trump screams about witch hunts while launching his own baseless lawsuits against journalists and regular citizens who dare to tell the truth about him. It's like a boxer complaining about getting hit while throwing punches below the belt. Unlike those celebrities who just say Trump bad without getting specific, Keaton brought receipts. He didn't just make vague criticisms, he called out Trump's blatant disregard for democracy, the rule of law, and basic human decency. When Batman tells you you're the villain, maybe it's time to rethink your life choices.
Hey, hi, Michael. You know, for some of you folks who, guys mostly, I guess, who are thinking about attending a rally with Musk and Trump, years ago, I guess, said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'd still vote for me. Basically what he's saying in parentheses is, these people are so stupid, they're so dumb, they'd still vote for me. They don't really respect you. They laugh at you behind your back. They think you're stupid. They don't want to hang out with you. They have nothing in common with you. They're not your bros.
The beautiful irony here is that Keaton's decades in Hollywood gave him the perfect skill set to spot a phony performance. After all, this is the guy who's played everyone from Batman to Birdman. He knows authentic character development from cheap theatrics. And that's exactly what he saw in Trump. A one-dimensional character with no substance, all bluster and no depth. Like a reality TV star who can't handle actual reality. What makes Trump so dangerous, according to Keaton, isn't just his policies, it's his complete lack of substance as a leader. There's no core belief system, no underlying philosophy, just a never-ending need for adoration and power. Trump's entire leadership style is a mix of arrogance, incompetence, and self-serving theatrics. He's the political equivalent of a movie that's all special effects and no plot. The tension in Keaton's criticism builds when he connects Trump's behavior to something larger and more sinister, a pattern of manipulation that threatens the very foundation of American democracy. This isn't just about not liking a politician's personality, it's about recognizing how dangerous it is when a leader constantly attacks democratic institutions while claiming to be their greatest defender. How exactly did Keaton tear apart Trump's victim act on live television? By systematically exposing the contradiction at the heart of Trump's public persona. He's simultaneously the most powerful bully in the room and the biggest crybaby. He demands total loyalty while showing showing none in return. He claims to be a tough guy, but melts down at the slightest criticism. It's all an act from a reality TV president with no real substance. The chef's kiss of this whole situation? Trump's response to Keaton's critique was exactly what Keaton predicted, a childish temper tantrum filled with name-calling and personal attacks. Rather than addressing any substantive points, Trump immediately launched into his usual routine of insults and deflection. It's like Trump was determined to prove Keaton right in real time. Trump just can't help himself. When faced with criticism from successful, respected individuals, his only move is to try to tear them down. But all his response did was showcase his inability to handle criticism like an adult. It's the political equivalent of, "I know you are, but what am I?" coming from a 77-year-old man who wants to be president again. But Trump's childish, "I know you are, but what am I?" routine hides something that made the audience gasp when Keaton pointed it out. His attacks aren't just embarrassing, they follow a frighteningly familiar pattern seen in countries where democracy died from the inside out. The truly scary part, most Americans don't recognize these warning signs until it's too late. The mood in the studio shifted dramatically when Gere and Keaton pivoted from mocking Trump's fragile ego to sounding alarm bells about democracy itself. You could practically feel the temperature drop as their tone became deadly serious. This wasn't celebrity gossip anymore. This was a warning from two respected figures who've been around long enough to recognize dangerous patterns. What separated their criticism from typical Hollywood anti-Trump talk was how they connected his behavior to historical precedent. These weren't just complaints about mean tweets or bad policies. They were highlighting the exact methods authoritarians have used throughout history to dismantle democracies from within. The audience, expecting some light Trump bashing, instead got a masterclass in how democracies actually die. Keaton's critique cut especially deep when he focused on Trump's blatant disregard for democratic norms and institutions. He wasn't just throwing around vague accusations, he was specifically pointing to the guardrails of American governance that Trump has repeatedly crashed through. While politicians typically respect these unwritten rules, even when not legally required to, Trump treats them like suggestions he can ignore whenever convenient. The moment that really silenced the room came when Keaton explained that Trump's constant lying isn't just annoying or unprofessional, it's strategic. According to Keaton, it's a deliberate attempt to undermine truth itself. Think about that for a second. If citizens can't agree on basic facts, how can democracy function? When the president creates an alternate reality where only his words matter, the foundations of democratic debate crumble. What made their warnings so powerful wasn't their celebrity status, but their perspective as concerned American citizens. They weren't speaking as Democrats or Republicans, but as people who've witnessed enough history to recognize dangerous patterns. When they connected Trump's behavior to historical examples of democratic erosion, you could see viewers connecting dots they hadn't considered before. The actors explained something political scientists have been warning about for years. Democracies rarely die suddenly through military coups anymore. Instead, they die slowly through the systematic erosion of norms and institutions by elected leaders who gradually consolidate power while claiming to protect the very system they're dismantling. It's like a slow-motion car crash that most people don't notice until it's too late to hit the brakes. The standing ovation wasn't for clever Trump zingers. It was a response to the rare sight of public figures willing to speak uncomfortable truths. Both actors showed how Trump's tendencies, from attacking judges who rule against him to declaring elections rigged before they happen, aren't just personality quirks but steps from the authoritarian playbook. Countries from Hungary to Venezuela have watched their democracies transform into authoritarian regimes using these exact tactics. Gere and Keaton's warnings hit especially hard because they came from outside the usual political bubble. When career politicians warn about democratic erosion, half the country dismisses it as partisan fear-mongering. But when respected cultural figures make the same points, it sometimes breaks through the partisan noise. Their status as outsiders to politics gave their warnings a credibility that career politicians often lack. The audience's reaction spoke volumes. What began as nervous laughter transformed into concerned silence as the full implications sank in. This wasn't about policy disagreements or political preferences anymore. This was about whether American democracy would survive intact. By the time they finished speaking, the mood had transformed completely, with viewers processing the uncomfortable possibility that what they've dismissed as political theater might actually be existential danger. And just like clockwork, Trump responded to Gere and Keaton exactly as they predicted, with childish name-calling and temper tantrums that only proved their point. Instead of addressing their concerns about democracy, he went straight for juvenile insults, trying to tear down Keaton's credibility in the most immature ways possible. His thin skin and obvious insecurity were on full display for everyone to see. What's truly concerning isn't Trump's predictable meltdown, but what polling shows us. A huge chunk of Americans are seriously worried about our democracy getting weaker. When Hollywood stars put aside the usual political mudslinging to deliver honest warnings about democratic erosion, maybe we should take a break from laughing at Grumpy Trumpy's latest Twitter fit and actually listen. The real danger isn't what these celebrities said, it's that we might be too busy rolling our eyes at another liberal Hollywood elite to notice that our democracy is slowly circling the drain while we're distracted by the reality show.